Hey guys, it's Way here, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to bring you guys the ultimate wants to watch trading and investing guide for FIFA 19. Wants to watch trading is probably the best and most profitable way of making coins on Ultimate Team. Last year we saw top traders like Run the Foot Market make upwards of 30 million coins using wants to watch trading alone. It is such a good way of making coins, and in this video I'll be covering the best players to invest in, when to buy them and when to sell them. Everything you need to know about wants to watch trading will be in this video. So if you guys do enjoy, if you do, don't forget to leave a like on it. Let's try and smash 300 likes on this video, that'd be much appreciated. Also, if you guys are new on here, don't forget to subscribe, and without further ado, let's go on into it. First of all, I just want to quickly cover a few frequently asked questions when it comes to wants to watch trading, because I know if I don't answer these in this video, everyone is going to be asking me the same questions down below in the comments. Now, first of all, when is the best time to buy wants to watch players? That is hands down when they have a bad game, because loads of people invest in wants to watch players before they play, anticipating that they may get an inform. Let's say a defender scores a goal and keeps a clean sheet, or maybe gets an assist or two, or a forward scores 2 or 3 goals. They're probably going to get into the team of the week, and their wants to watch item will therefore be boosted in overall stats. Now, if the player has a bad game and doesn't put in a performance to merit getting an inform, lots of people are going to sell that card, and the price will therefore drop significantly, and there's going to be a really big supply on the market, and that is the best time to buy. So let's say they play on a Sunday and the game's just finished at 5 o'clock, let's say. Around 6-7 o'clock is when you're going to have a lot of very cheap cards on the market. The card will then gradually rise in price until they next play. If they have a good game, they'll rise up more in price until the announcement of the team of the week. If they're included, their price will probably go up even more, and if they're not included, again, they will drop down massively, and then it will just keep rising up until they play their next game, and that cycle will continue throughout the rest of the year. Another very common question is, when exactly should you sell your wants to watch players? Now, for this there are several different answers, and it really is down to risk and reward. If you guys are willing to take that risk, you can make more profit by keeping your cards for longer, but you're also at risk of maybe losing out on coins as well. If you sell your cards early, you are guaranteed to make profit, but you'll be making less coins overall. Now, let's say you get your cards when they've had a bad game, maybe on a Sunday just after they've played and they're at their low point. They're probably going to rise up by around 20 or 25% before their next play, and you can sell in the hype a couple of hours before kickoff. Let's say they're playing at 3 PM UK time in the Premier League. You could sell them on the morning of the game, and they're going to have risen up a good amount, and you will make guaranteed profit. Alternatively, you can keep the cards a little bit longer until the lineups are announced, which is an hour before kickoff, and if they're included in that lineup, they'll have probably gone up an extra few thousand coins, just because it gives them that guarantee of starting and having a better game overall. If they start, they're a lot more likely to get an inform and put in a good performance. Now, if the player actually plays in the game, you guys can keep them throughout that game if you want, and if they play well, their price will rise up. So let's say they score a goal early on, the card's suddenly going to shoot up in value. But if they don't score another goal, if it's a forward, you're not really going to get into the team of the week as a striker if you score 1 goal on the whole, unless it's a really important goal, maybe against a big rival or in a title deciding game. So in that case, they probably drop down in price. You could keep them throughout the game. If they play really well and get some more goals, they're going to keep on rising, and you could sell the card after the game, or you could keep them until the team of the week is announced, and that is on Wednesday. So it's actually announced officially by EA at 3 PM UK time on Twitter, and then it's released on Ultimate Team at 6 PM. You could sell your card if they've had a good game on Wednesday morning before the team of the week's been announced, or you could sell them when it's actually been announced. Now, that's going to be a little bit riskier, because if the cards isn't included in the team of the week, they're going to plummet in value, but if they are, they will keep rising up. So it really is down to you when you sell your cards. Personally, I generally get a couple of different cards. So let's say I'm investing in Richarlison, I'd maybe get 5 or 6 of him, and I'd probably sell 4 before the game starts, and that way I'd be making guaranteed profit on all of them, and then I'd keep 1 or 2 throughout the game, and if he played well, that card would rise up. I'd probably sell 1 after he scored 1 goal, because he'd have shot up in price, and then I'd keep the other one throughout the whole game in case he scored any more and went up more in value. So that's generally how I go about it. I invest in several cards of one specific player, and then I sell most of them before kickoff, as that makes me guaranteed profit and covers me for any losses maybe on the other cards, and then I keep the others throughout the game, and that way I've got the potential to make a lot of profit if he does play well. So that is when you should sell the cards. It's down to you, as I said, risk and reward. If you want to have a little bit more risk but maybe make more profit, or just make guaranteed profit, it really is down to you. Let me know down below when you personally prefer selling your wants to watch players, but for me it's generally before the game, as you make guaranteed profit selling in the hype. There's no risk of losing out. Finally, and probably most frequently asked of all, we have got who are the best ones to watch players to invest in. Everyone wants to know who they should be buying in order to make lots of profit. There's a whole squad, 23 players in total. You guys can see them all on screen now. now. We've got a goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. So many different players, some of which are great investments, and some just aren't really at all. And if you guys get the right cards, you are guaranteed to make profit. So let's just get on into the whole squad. I'll go through every single player, and I'll let you guys know who I would recommend investing in. Hold off until next weekend before buying these cards. If they don't have a good game, if they don't put in a performance meriting an inform, they'll be cheap and you can pick them up. So Ronaldo right now is 3 million coins, and I would just stay away from this card. Yes, he's an amazing player who will get lots of goals and informs throughout the year, but at 3 million coins, there's just a huge risk right here. First of all, you've got to take into account EA tax, and that is at this price here. If you're selling a card for 3 million coins, that's 150k, as you lose 5% of the sale price of a card. So already you can't really be keeping these cards and selling in the hype, just because they're not going to rise up that much that you'll make that much profit when you take EA tax into account. For 3 million coins, you could buy so many of a cheaper card and make a lot more profit. And also, if he gets injured, I mean, we saw this with Neymar last year. His one to watch card dropped about 500k when he got injured, and if the same happens to Ronaldo, he would drop down so much, probably by about 700-800k. So just stay away from Ronaldo. There's too much risk in it, and I doubt any of you can even afford him anyway at this early stage of the game. Next up is Gonzalo Higuain, and I really like this card as an investment. He's 88 rated. He plays for AC Milan, so you've got yourself a really good player there already with some nice stats, and he scores a lot of goals. He's a proven goal scorer in this area, and he will get himself plenty of informs and special cards throughout the year, and that gives him a great chance to rise up in price. He is relatively expensive. I wouldn't really recommend going over about 250 to 300k on a one to watch player, just because, as I've said, EA tax does take 5% in total, and you do want to be selling a lot of these cards into the hype before games just to make guaranteed profit, and that will end up cutting into a lot of the profit you make if you're trading with the more expensive players. But Higuain's a really good one. I think he'll score a lot of goals, and each time he does score, that price will rise up and you can sell him then, and he'll put in plenty of performances where he'll get a couple of goals and he'll probably get an inform, and that card will rise up a lot in price. Next up is Jadon Sancho, one of the most hyped cards within the one to watch squad because of his amazing stats. He's got just such a good card, over 80 in most of those stats there, and if he gets an inform, he'll have over 80 in everything apart from pace. But at 300k, I think that's just a little bit too much, bearing in mind that he's a midfielder. He's not going to score loads and loads of goals, and with this high price tag, it means you've got EA tax to take into account there. For 300k, you could get a lot of cheaper cards, maybe someone like Alisson, for example, who I think would make you more profit and is a little bit safer. So again, you've got the potential you could maybe get injured, just like with Ronaldo, just like with Neymar last year. So I wouldn't really go with Nainggolan, although he does have a very, very nice card. Next up is Alisson, and this one's a bit of a tricky one because he is, of course, a goalkeeper, and for a keeper to get an inform, you generally have to either keep a clean sheet, maybe saving a penalty, or making loads of saves. That's your only real two options, because keepers don't really score or assist. So I wouldn't really recommend investing in Alisson. You can maybe get one or two of him, because if he does put in a really good performance, and he has started the season very well, he could rise up a lot. But given that he plays for a team that have a very good defense anyway, he's probably not going to be making loads of saves in games unless he's playing against a very top side, or maybe like Van Dijk's out injured or something, and they have Lovren in there and he ends up conceding more shots and having to make more saves. But I think unless he saves a penalty, I mean, that's the only real chance you've got of him going up. So yeah, he will rise in price in the hype before games, but as he's a keeper, there'll be less hype around him. So I mean, you could invest in him, but not really one of the best. Next up is Riyad Mahrez, and I like this card a lot as an investment, just like with Higuain. He's a similar kind of price tag, actually a little bit cheaper, just over 100k. The only issue with him is currently he's not in the starting lineup for City, although he has been playing really well. He got 2 goals against Cardiff, and he's found his feet. He didn't start the season that well because he was at a new club. He was adapting to the style of play and everything, but it seems like he's really adapted to it quite well now, and I think if he gets into the starting lineup, you'll see this card rise up more. It's quite cheap for an 85 rated Man City card with 5-star skill moves, one of the best right wingers you've got in the Premier League right here, and that's a position where there aren't that many players that are really kind of high quality. On the left, you've got Hazard, Srna, Son, Martial, loads of really popular players, but on the right hand side, Laste, and I think Mahrez could potentially take that spot. You've just got to really wait. Obviously you've got Salah, but Mahrez brings the 5-star skill moves, and I think if he gets into the starting lineup and starts scoring more goals, he's going to be a good investment. But right now, just because he doesn't really play that much, he isn't the best of investments. But obviously maybe if someone like Sterling or Srna gets injured and he then gets into that position and starts starting more games, or just gets in because of his form, then you'd be a good one to go ahead and pick up. Next up is Socrates. Now the issue with him is obviously he's a defender, so he doesn't score that many goals. Obviously forwards score more goals, that's normal, that's how football works really. and that gives them more chances to rise in price, because when a player scores, they go up in value. The thing with defenders, though, is if they do score a goal, and someone like Socrates, you can expect a centre-back like this playing for a club like Arsenal, who get a lot of chances, to maybe score 2 or 3 goals in a season. We saw, for example, Otamendi last year. I think he scored 5 goals in the Premier League, and he scored other goals in other competitions as well. And you see that with defenders playing for clubs like Man City, like Arsenal, clubs that just get a lot of chances and end up obviously getting lots of corners and chances to score. You see players like this score a few goals each season, and when Socrates scores, like right now he's about 30k. When he scores, he'll probably go up to like 60 or 70k. He'd double in price, and you can make a lot of profit on him. And he isn't overly expensive. So I think after Arsenal have played, and maybe if they've conceded a couple of goals and just haven't like had a good performance, so Socrates wouldn't really get an inform, I'd recommend picking him up, because you could get a few of him, and I think if he does keep a clean sheet, he's going to go up a lot. If he scores, he'll go up loads, and you can just sell in the hype before games anyway, and if he does get an inform, he'd have over 70 pace, and that'll be a really, really good card. Next up, we've got Georginio. Now, this one is interesting. He's a really good player, and he's got quite a good card in Ultimate Team. The issue with him is, though, he isn't really a goal-scoring type player. He does take penalties for Chelsea. I think he took them in the absence of Hazard. I'm not sure if he'll take them now that Hazard's back, but I know he took them earlier on in the season when he was still recovering from the World Cup. But the issue with Georginio is, as I said, he just doesn't really score that many goals. He's not a goal-scoring midfielder. He's more of a creative, kind of defensive-minded player who links the defence to the attack. He doesn't get that many goals himself, so there aren't many chances for him to get informs. And he does have a good card, but he doesn't have an amazing card. Like, if you're looking in the Premier League, you've got loads of options in the midfield. You've got people like Fred and Dembele who have really well-rounded cards as a centre mid, and Georginio doesn't have amazing shooting, so I wouldn't really play him at centre mid. But he also doesn't have amazing defending or physical, so I wouldn't really play him CDM. He's just not that commonly used, so I would probably stay away from him. Although he will still rise in the price with the hype before games, so he could still be a good one there, but again, not one of the best ones. Next up is João Cancelo, and I think this card here has the potential to go up so much, and reminds me very, very much of Kyle Walker last year. Whenever Walker got an assist, and I think he got 6 of them in total last year in the Premier League, he went up so much. He went up by about 100k, and with Cancelo, he's already got an inform here. He's the only player to have got one so far from the One to Watch squad. If he gets an assist, which he will in the season, he will get several assists, that's for sure. He's playing for a team that have target men strikers with Ronaldo and Mandzukic, who will score a lot of goals from crosses, especially in Ronaldo's case, as he's got such good positioning. He always gets into those places, and I think this is such a good investment. He's about 90k. I think his inform is about 70k, so he's already not that much more than that. And when he gets an assist, or if he gets a goal, he's going to go up by about 80 to 100k. And you can make so much profit on that. That is a crazy, crazy investment. I didn't actually realise he was this cheap. He has dropped a fair amount. And, I mean, I'll probably just hold off on picking this card up until his next game. And if he plays badly, like if he just doesn't keep a clean sheet or get an assist or do anything noteworthy, I'll pick him up, because he's already 100k, and I reckon he could hit maybe 80k, 85k after his next game, which would make him an amazing, amazing investment. So definitely one of the best to get, in my opinion. Next up is Naby Keita. Now, he's been in and out of the starting lineup at Liverpool so far. He has played decently, but I think he's yet to score. And I think he may have got a couple of assists, but he's yet to really kind of set the world on fire playing for Liverpool so far this season. So he could rise up if he gets kind of a run of form going, starts scoring more. But the thing with him is, it's quite similar to Georginio. He doesn't have an amazing card. Like, he's got a good card. He's got really good dribbling, but EA kind of kills him on the pace. He went down a lot from last year. Only 68, and if you look in the Premier League, you've got a lot of midfielders who are quite well balanced, well-rounded stats. I mean, this guy has got 3 stats out of his 6 on the card in the 60s, and he's an 83. I mean, there are just better options to use in the Premier League, really. He's got 1 stat over 80, and he's an 83, so I would personally stay away from him, just because people aren't really going to be using this card. There's not that much hype around it. I know he's a new signing and all that, so there is going to be a bit of hype, but as soon as that dies down, I mean, no one's really going to want to use this card, even if he gets an inform, because you've got so many good options in the Premier League in this role, and he's not scored a goal yet. He hasn't really done that much to merit him maybe getting an inform, so I would stay away from this card. But if he starts scoring goals and playing really well, yeah, I think he could rise up in price. Next up is one of my favourite players, probably my favourite player so far that I've used on FIFA 19, and that is Leon Goretzka. He's an amazing player, and right now is going for about 150 to 160k. And I think this card is a really nice investment if he drops down a little bit more. Just this much for a centre mid. Centre mids don't really score that many goals. I'm not 100% sure how Goretzka started the season. So if you guys know, if you're maybe a Bayern Munich fan or you're a Bundesliga fan, let me know down below how's he started. Is he starting all the games for Bayern? Is he playing well, scoring goals? If that's the case, I think he's a good investment, but they do have a very good midfield, so he will probably go in and out of favour throughout the season depending on his form. But I mean, yeah, if he does get an inform, that card is going to be crazy good and will rise up a lot in price. So I think this is definitely a good one because he's a very popular player on the game. Next up, we've got Quincy Promes, and I checked his price earlier on, and he's a lot cheaper than I expected. He's about 30k, I think, just for his normal card anyway. And this card's going for about 70 to 80. If he has a bad game, he'll probably drop down by around 15,000 coins or so, maybe a little bit more. And I think that's a good investment because he's one of only a few good left-sided midfielders in La Liga. You've got Coutinho, and the issue with him is he's relatively slow. He's not slow, but he's not super quick, if that makes sense. I think he's got low 80s for pace, and for wingers you generally want above, you want maybe 87, 88 or more, and Quincy Promes has got 90, and he's also got 5-star skill moves. And I think if he gets an inform, he's going to be by far and away the most popular left-sided midfielder in La Liga, because since Ronaldo's left and Neymar's left, there's a bit of a gap there. So I think he could be very popular on the game. He already is, and I like this as an investment. Again, I'm not fully sure, like with Goretzka, if he's had a great start to the season. I haven't seen much of La Liga this year because BT Sports no longer have the rights for it, so I don't really see much of that anymore. Or BT or Sky, one of them's lost the rights. But yeah, I'm not sure how he started the season, but if he does play well and he scores goals, I mean, he's a forward, so he will score goals throughout the season. It's a good investment, so I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Next up is Lamar, and this is a player I do know has had a really good start to the season. He's been very good so far for Atletico. The issue with him though is he's not a super popular player on Ultimate Team, mainly because he has 2-star weak foot. In previous FIFAs he's only had 3-star skills as well, but now he's got 4-star. But still, he is a good player. He gets a hyperlink to Griezmann as well, and he's one of the few good left-sided players, along with mainly Coutinho and Promes in La Liga. You do have a few other options, but Lamar's definitely one of the better ones there. And he's not overly expensive right now, and he does play quite well. He plays in the team every single week, and he's playing well, scoring goals, getting assists. He's about 60k right now, and I think after a bad game he could drop to maybe 45 or 50. If he scores, he'll probably go up to like 70, 80, and you can sell in the hype as well for maybe 10, 15,000 coins profit too. So again, a good one to keep an eye on for. If you get him cheaply, definitely a good investment. Next up, we've got Malcolm. So we're in the subs right now. So we look at Malcolm right now. I think he's not been starting every game for Barcelona, because obviously you've got Messi who plays right wing predominantly, and then you've got Suarez up front. So he comes in, you've got Dembele too, so there's a lot of competition there. But I think if he starts to get more game time, maybe over Dembele, let's say Dembele gets injured for example, and he was injured a lot last season, he is quite an injury prone player I think. And I mean, he is quite cheap right now. If he starts playing more games, because he's got a good card, look at that, 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot, nice overall stats, over 80 in pace, dribbling and passing. If he starts playing more games, I think he's definitely a really nice investment. But the issue is he's not going to rise up that much in the hype before games, as he's not really starting that many. But as I said, if he does start more games, he could be a good one. And maybe if you just get 1 or 2 of him and get him at a cheap price, maybe 20 to 30k, the lowest price you can really find, if he comes on and scores a goal or 2, there's going to be hype around him and he'll rise up in price. Next up, we've got Axel Witsel, another player I'm not fully sure how he started the season so far, so if you guys could let me know down below, that would be very helpful. And if I then get a better picture of who's playing well for their clubs this season so far, I can do a more in-depth video on these types of players. But I think Witsel's a nice investment. He's going for about 30 to 40k right now. If you can get him for 30,000 coins, if he plays badly, or if we have lots of promo packs throughout the promo and he drops down more, that's a really nice investment, because he's got a good well-rounded card. I believe he has 4-star skill moves. Yeah, he does. He's 6'2" as well. He's Belgian, playing in the Bundesliga. Really nice, well-rounded card. He's on the slow side. 71 pace isn't amazing, and I think if he does get an inform, that would obviously go up. So he'd be a really good popular player. One of the best midfielders in the Bundesliga on Ultimate Team, so I think he's a good investment if you get him cheap enough. Yeah, he's a midfielder, he's not going to score loads of goals, but he will still rise up in the hype, and he will rise obviously if he scores goals too. Even though he won't score many, when he does, he'll go up a lot. Next, so we've got a really nice investment, and this is Fred. He's had a good start to the season for Man United. He's scored a goal or 2 already, and he is expensive because of that, but he's not super expensive. You're looking at about 70k for him right now, and he had a bad game, or United as a whole had a bad game on the weekend, obviously losing 3-1 to West Ham. After that game would have been a great time to buy him, but I missed the window there, and I'll be picking him up next week as long as he doesn't have a good game. Really nice investment though, because he's got such a good card. If you're looking in the Premier League for a well-rounded midfielder, you've got Pogba, you've got Fred, you've got Moussa Dembele, and they're your three main options. There are a few other good players there. You've got Kante as a more defensive-minded player. You've obviously got people like De Bruyne for the more attacking options. But as a well-rounded box-to-box midfielder, Fred's a great one. He's Brazilian too, which makes him so good for hybrids. One of the few Brazilian midfielders in the Premier League who are really good and popular on the game. Fernandinho is a bit slow, so people don't really use him, but I think Fred's definitely up there. Very popular. I've seen a lot of people using him so far on the game, so I think if you get him for maybe 70k, 60-70k, really good one, because he will score goals this season, and when he does, he will go up in price, so a really nice investment to keep an eye on. Next up is Felipe Anderson. I think he may be slightly inflated in price because of the game I just mentioned, Man United West Ham. He scored a really nice goal. It was the opener, so I think because of that he's quite expensive. But the good thing with this guy, if you keep an eye on him, if he's not in the team of the week on Wednesday, and I doubt he will be because he wasn't named man of the match, I think it was Mark Noble. I think Zabaleta could maybe get in the team of the week, or Mark Noble, possibly Anderson. But I mean, those two were the two top performers according to the stats in that game, and I think Noble got the man of the match. But I think Felipe Anderson, if you get him cheaply, he could be a good one because he's found his form. He got his first Premier League goal on the weekend. West Ham have found their form as well. Arnautovic is firing, Yarmolenko is as well, and they're playing well. I did actually predict them to come 7th in my Premier League predictions. Not sure if they'll do that well, but Felipe Anderson, I think, will have a good season, and he's got a really nice card. The issue with this, though, is on the left-hand side in the Premier League. You've got a lot of options. He's got Martial, Son, Srna, and Hazard all to compete with. So there's going to be a little bit less hype around him just because there are already a lot of good options in that position in the league. Also for Brazil, you've obviously got Neymar and Douglas Costa there as well. But I still think he's a good player because he will get goals this season and will rise up in price there with the hype. Next up is, I believe he's called Salif Srna, playing for Schalke. So we're dropping down a little bit now to some much cheaper players. Salif Srna here, as you guys can see, is going for near to discard price. He's about 15k or so. And I mean, if you look at the card, it's not amazing. He's got 65 pace. He's, I believe, Senegalese. Yeah, he is Senegalese, and he plays for Schalke. So there's not much hype around this guy. But if he scores a goal, he'll probably go to 25 or 30k. But if you just think about it, like, if this guy gets an inform, he'd be maybe 83 rated. Would you pay a lot of coins for that card? No, you wouldn't. He'd be like a 15k inform. So the thing with this guy there, there's just not much hype around it, because even if he gets an inform, he's not going to be worth that much more than discard price. So yeah, not really one to go with. Because also as a defender, it's rare that he'll even score anyway. So I mean, I wouldn't really go near that card. Next up, we've got Vrsaljko. I really think I've butchered his name, but a really good player, a new signing for Inter Milan, and as you guys can see here, he's got a really nice card. At the moment, he's very cheap, about 25k. And I think, just like with Cancelo, if he gets an assist or anything, if he gets a goal, he's going to shoot up in price. He got 2 informs last year for Atletico and was one of the most popular fullbacks on the game. I think Cancelo is so far the best right back in this area, and maybe even on Ultimate Team right now. Very popular player. But I think if Vrsaljko gets a goal or two or something like that, he could go up a lot in price. And he's a more defensive-minded player than Cancelo. I mean, if you look at his stats, so he's 5'11", which I think is a lot taller than Cancelo. He's got much better physical than him. He's stronger, and he's just got a more kind of well-rounded card. Cancelo's got the pace, but I think with an inform or two, Vrsaljko could be very popular. And for this price, I mean, the good thing about defenders like this, they get a few goals and assists each season, and when they do, they shoot up in price by about 30 or 40k, because there's a really good chance they can get an inform. So I think he's going to be one that I'll be definitely keeping an eye on. If I get for about 20k or so, which I think I easily will be able to, I'll be stockpiling him and keeping him until he plays well. Next up, we have got Smolov, Fedor Smolov, I believe is his name, playing in Russia, a new signing for, I think, is it Lokomotiv Moscow? Don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, Lokomotiv Moscow. I know there's a lot of teams in and around Moscow, but he is going for around about 15k, I think. Now, he does have a really good card. I mean, 87 pace, 83 shooting. I believe he has 4-star skills. Yeah, he does. And he's 6'2". He's a complete kind of striker, really. But he plays in the Russian league, and no one really uses the Russian league, especially now that they've lost Promes, and they've also lost a lot of their clubs on Ultimate Team. They lost the licensing. I think there's only 3 or 4 clubs now on Ultimate Team in the Russian league. but for this price, he's a striker, and you could probably get him for about 12k when he has a bad game. I mean, he's not going to rise up a lot, because if he gets an inform, he might be worth about 20k. But I think with the hype before games, you could sell him for about 5k profit easily. And if you get a load of the cards, that's going to be a lot of profit. And if he plays well, which he probably will get a few, well, not more, he'll get more than a few goals this season. He'll probably get a lot playing in the Russian league. I expect he'll go up lots. So he's a really good low budget and low risk one to keep an eye on. Next up is Mariano, and I think this one's an interesting investment. Just like Malcolm, he's quite cheap because he's not playing much this season. He's behind Benzema in the pecking order at Real Madrid, but if you guys can get him for maybe 20k or so, get him for a really low price, he could easily go up so much, because all he really needs to do is just score a goal or two, and he's going to rock it up. Because looking at the card, he's got over 80 for pace, for shooting as well, and for physical. He's also got a decent card there. I mean, 4-star weak foot's not bad. Looking at the attributes here, 92 jumping, good finishing, good pace, just an all-round good card. I know he doesn't have the skill moves, but if you're looking for a striker for Real Madrid, Benzema's not that popular on the game. Mariano's gold card has probably got better, more desirable stats really that you'd want on the game. So he's already a popular player, playing for a really popular club in a good league. I know he's not got the best of nations, but you can just link him to La Liga players and Real Madrid players really. And I think you just need to wait for him to get more game time. So if Benzema gets injured, or if he goes above him in the pecking order just by his form, he's going to be a really nice one, because right now he's cheap because he's not playing, but as soon as he gets game time, this card will go to about 40k or so if he starts starting games. And if he plays well, if he gets goals, which he obviously will playing as a striker for one of the best teams in the world, he's going to shoot up in price. He's going to go up loads. And with the Champions League as well, Benzema's going to end up getting rotated as well, with fitness and all that, because they only have two proper out-and-out strikers now. So when they start playing more games, he'll get more game time towards the last stages of the season, and will definitely be a good one to keep an eye on. So keep an eye on the form really and everything like that. If you see Benzema gets injured or something, I'd recommend following a lot of those sites like One Football and all of that. You can find out if players get injured very easily with that. Next up is Galavan. This is a card I'm investing a lot in, because he's going for about 13k now. I got a few of these cards for 12k, I think. I got maybe 4 or 5 of them. And he's a midfielder, so he's not going to score loads of goals, but he's got a nice card. He's a good player. He's playing in Liga for Monaco. So if he gets an inform, I reckon this card would be about 20k or so, and I got him for near discard price. He's probably going to go up about 5k or so before games, and if he plays well, he's going to go up to maybe 25 or 30k, making some really nice profit overall. And he's so cheap, and he's just a nice kind of near discard price card that I could maybe just keep in my club for a while. And I mean, I almost guarantee he's going to go up to 20 or 30k at some point, so definitely a nice one to invest in. Next up is Alisson, and this card may be my favourite investment out of all of the different players here, along with the likes of Rosalco, I think João Cancelo as well, maybe people like Witsel, Fred, because right now he's about 30k, and he's had an amazing start to the season. He scored 3 goals in the first month of the Premier League. He then got suspended for a while, but he scored for Brazil when he was suspended. He came back and had a good game against Arsenal. He didn't score, and Everton are playing well right now. And this guy, he's guaranteed to score goals this season. I expect he'll get double figures probably. And every time he scores, he's going to go up. And the good thing about him, he's 77 rated. He's a low rated guy. He will be 81, 82 rated when he gets an inform. So there'll be a big boost to these stats. You're going to be seeing +5s on a lot of them. That shooting is probably going to go up to like 78 or 79. So he will be a really popular card. Brazilian, Premier League, left wing. That card I could see going for about 50k or so easily with an inform. If he scores 2 goals, maybe 3 goals in a game, you're going to see him go up to like 70 or 80k. The cards just go up massively with the hype. A lot of the times they're more expensive in the hype than when they actually get an inform. It's crazy. So this card here, right now he's like 30k. I think he could drop to 25k after a bad game. He actually did drop to that after the game he didn't score in on the weekend against Fulham. It wasn't a bad game, but he didn't score, so he wasn't going to get an inform. And right now you can see he's like 32k. There's a few cards there. He'll hit 20, like mid-20s. And I mean, for that price, crazy investment. He's someone I would just want to spend so much on and get like 10 of him, and then I'll probably sell the majority before games in the hype, keep some throughout the games. And I really like that as an investment. Definitely one of the best. And we finish it off with Dembele, Moussa Dembele. There are loads of players called Dembele, several players called Moussa, but there we go. Moussa Dembele right now. I think he's had a good start to the season since his transfer to Lyon. He scored 2 goals in his debut, I think, or 2 goals in his last game. I'm not fully sure. Right now he's going for about 15 to 20k. And I think this is a really good investment. Just like with Richarlison, as he's low rated, he'll get a big boost. So we'll see like +5s and 6s to these stats. He'll go up in overall rating by about, I think, 5 to 7. It depends. But gold informs are normally 80, 81 or 82 rated for their first inform. You don't have below 80s for gold informs. So I see this card going up a lot. And he's playing in a decent league for a good nation and for a club that will score goals this season with him. It's a good team around him. The likes of Fekir are in there as well. You've got Depay. And I think if he starts scoring lots of goals, which he's doing already, he's going to go up a lot. You could see this card easily going to about 25, 30k with some hype. You can get him probably for about 15 after a bad game. And once he gets one inform, the next inform is going to be like 84 rated probably. And I expect you can probably get a few this year. And that card would probably be going for about 70 or 80k. So if you get this card cheaply, I mean, cards can go up a lot. Like, not Fekir. Salah was about 150k and he was an 83 rated card at the beginning of FIFA 18. And he ended the year as a 90 rated inform with loads of other cards coming after that with his team of the seasons and everything, and that card is worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of coins. So he could start the year as a 75, he could end it as maybe an 86 or 87 rated inform with 3 or 4 informs. So they're all the different ones to watch, players. I think the best investments to look at: Richarlison, Galavan, Dembele. Those low rated ones, really good, very little risk, really good profit there. Vrsalko's a good one. Felipe Anson's good if he drops down a little bit more in price. Fred's a really good one as well. I think Witsel's decent. I think Malcolm and Mariano, if they start playing more, are really good ones to get, especially at the price they're at now. I think Lamar's a decent one as well. Promise is a really good one. I think João Cancelo is really good as well. Socrates is great. If Mahrez starts playing more, he is a good one to go and pick up. And Goretzka, if he's playing well this season, I think is also a good investment, although he is quite expensive. So there we go. If you guys have any more questions, let me know down below. I would also recommend going and downloading an app like OneFootball or SofaScore, and that way you can keep an eye on all these players and you can actually set notifications. So let's say you want to keep an eye on Promise, you can look him up and you can just keep tabs on him, and it's going to send you a notification when he scores or gets an assist or anything like that, so you know obviously that you can sell your card then if you want. And also, if you see that a player scores immediately, you can head onto the market and quickly buy that wants to watch player before it's risen up, and you can sell them then. That is quite hard to do because you have to keep an eye on all the different games and be very quick with it, but it is possible and can make you some extra coins. But if you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you're new on here. If you want to see more in-depth video on all of these players where I actually look into a lot of the stats and everything, how they've played well this season so far, so I can give you guys more insight into the best investments, then just let me know down below and leave a like on the video. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Take care.